So, hey, y'all, welcome back to season 2 of Life on the Ave. We're still rocking with our theme here of Del-lebrities. So we're interviewing local Delaware faces in the crowd, movers, shakers, people who are making it happen. So we've had a handful of entrepreneurs, restaurant owners, business owners, and we're super excited today to have Miss Erica Wolfe of Wolfe & Associates with us. So, Erica, thank you very much for joining in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. So Erica is a lifelong resident of the state of Delaware. She attended University of Delaware, majoring in political science with a focus on public law. She earned minors in philosophy, business, admin, leadership, and legal studies, and then went on to attend Widener University School of Law, now known as Delaware Law School. While in law school, Erica interned for the Honorable Jan R. Jordan. Did I say that right?
You did.
Jan R. Jordan in the Delaware Superior Court. Currently, Erica is the owner and managing attorney of Wolfe & Associates. Erica focuses her practice in residential real estate, estate planning, and estate distribution. She assists clients through every step of the residential and commercial purchase and refinance process, including the review of all contracts, mortgage documents, title commitments, and surveys. Erica handles a wide range of estate and trust matters, including drafting wills, trusts, special needs trusts, powers of attorney, advanced healthcare directive documents. She also assists clients in estate, trust, and guardianship administration. Erica devotes a substantial portion of her time to estate planning with a focus on asset distribution while minimizing potential tax liability on asset transfers. Super sexy line of work.
Yeah.
Moreover, Erica is an adjunct professor at Delaware Tech, teaching real estate law to pre-law and paralegal students. And you're also married and have a couple kids.
I do.
Yeah. So all in a day's work.
That sounds very professional.
It's very professional, right? Yeah.
It definitely came from the website.
Yes, definitely. So appreciate you coming in. We were kind of chopping it up beforehand, little icebreaker. So second podcast you've ever done?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Are the nerves, are they settling in, or how are you feeling?
Not yet, but I'm hoping they will.
Yeah, the bright lights of the Life of the Avenue podcast, are shining on us. But super excited that you came in today. So I would say let's start off with you. So Erica Wolfe, where are you from?
So my family is originally from like the Bear area. I went to Red Lion Christian most of my high school years, junior high years, and then they moved to Middletown like very early, like 1999, 2000. So
early movers and shakers.
Early movers, yeah. So we're one of the early families to kind of come to the Middletown area, and so I graduated from Middletown High School, and then went to Newark for UD, lived up here in Trolley for a little bit when I went to law school, and eventually found my way back to Middletown, and so that's where I am now.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Classic Delaware question that we have to ask anybody. Did you
where'd
win
you go to
any?
high school? No.
Yeah, where'd you go to high school? Yeah, and then my follow-up is how many state championships did you win? Did you play any sports?
I did. I was a big field hockey player.
Okay, gotcha.
Big field hockey player. We never won any state championships.
No.
And we were very overshone by the Middletown football team. So, but played a lot of field hockey, and that was a lot of fun.
Too funny. I always got to ask everybody that. Like, I'm not originally from Delaware, and I just crack up at hearing that conversation every single time.
Are you from Delaware, or where'd you go to high school? I feel like they go like hand in hand anytime you're outside.
Hand in hand,
Delaware.
yeah.
That's too funny.
Yeah, and someone's always, it's dated, related, or hated is what Mary Kate says. Yeah, and Mary Kate, I think my wife is related to half of Newcastle County probably.
Oh my goodness.
So
yeah,
it's hilarious. It is hilarious. All right, cool. So appreciate that background on you. So we can just hop right into it today. So we met probably like 2-3 years ago. Mm-hmm. I've been selling real estate for like 8 years, and I was looking for like a young attorney who gets it. How would you describe like your, law practice? I love everything. I'm a firm believer, member of the Wolf Pack. So I love you guys. Yeah. How did you get the Wolf Pack?
I appreciate that. I think a lot of people assume maybe it was a big plan. It was something that I had drawn up and executed, and it really was nothing like that. I always knew I wanted to be an attorney. I worked at law firms while I was in college. Every summer I came home. The entire time I was in law school, I worked as a paralegal, so I had a lot of back office knowledge of how a law firm ran, and had done pretty much every role in a law office that you could think of by the time I sat for the bar. And so I sat for the Delaware bar. I became an attorney. I started practicing little areas of law. I was at one firm. I went to a different firm. And long story short, I just had a little bit of a disagreement with my employer at the moment. Mostly, you're supposed to bring in your own book as an attorney. So that's you're supposed to get out there. You're supposed to get clients. And so I worked really hard at that. I heard that I would be compensated on how much money or how many clients I brought in. I'm like, that's all I had to hear. So this was before kids. I was marketing like crazy. I had a huge book of business, really doing a lot to put my name out there. And, we had a little bit of a disagreement. I kind of drew a line in the sand of saying, hey, either we're going to do this or I'm going to have to give you my 2 weeks. And he's like, okay, I'll take your 2 weeks. And I was shocked. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know where I was going to go. I hadn't interviewed anywhere. I thought for sure with the dollar amount I was generating for the firm that we would be able to negotiate that. And it didn't work out that way. And so I really thought to myself, talked to my husband at the time, I was a real estate paralegal. I can probably run files myself from beginning to end. I think maybe if I gave it a shot, my book would follow me. And if I could do 10 closings a month from beginning to end, I would make more than what I'm making now. I want to give it a shot. And he was really supportive. He's like, go ahead, give it a shot. And so I did. This was February of 2017. And by my second month, I had 22 title orders. And it was wow, I can't do 22 by myself. This is definitely more. And so it was a quick thinking of, now I have to get staff in here to try to help and trying to build things up while we were really busy. And he's just kind of going from there, of just trying to handle the demand of what we're doing and building it up from there. So
yeah, that's awesome. And I feel like every entrepreneur has that moment of oh snap, I'm about to, Mary Kay calls it, jump out of the plane and build the parachute on the way down.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. It was one of those things. And I feel every year I'm thinking that's great, we accomplished X, Y, Z, but now let's do this, right? How do we make it better? How do we make it, learn from some of the opportunities from last year to make the company even better, and then just kind of focusing it on little by little. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of things I wish I knew back then than I know now that would have,
definitely
helped the journey along.
So you passed the bar and we're still a paralegal,
So once I passed the bar, I was a practicing attorney.
Okay.
And I practiced in a couple different areas. So that was, oh goodness, you're bringing me back, 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, 2014. I got admitted in 2014. So then I started working at a law firm. I did some family law. Not for me.
What is family law?
So family law is a lot of divorce, child custody. I just found the clients to be really emotional. They don't want to think with logic, right? It's a very emotional time for them, and that just didn't really translate well for me. So I was like, that's not for me. Let's try something different. I did a little bit of criminal law. I'm like, that's not really for me either. And I just kind of ended up right back to real estate, where that's where I did a lot of paralegal work before. So it was just very familiar territory. And I found myself really liking that area of law.
Nice. Yeah, and so for those of you out there, because sometimes we'll drop terms and stuff, and Pat's like, "What are you guys talking about?" So what does when a file comes in, and you set a goal of doing 10 files when you initially started out, and you got up to 22. When a file comes into a law firm, what does the paralegal do in the file?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things the paralegal can do. It's really depending on how a law firm is set up. We do a lot of real estate closings at the firm that I own, so it's very paralegal intensive work. You've got to have rockstar paralegals because they are kind of doing the first review of that contract. They're ordering a title search from vendors. They're communicating with lots of parties, right? You think in a real estate transaction, you've got 2 buyers usually, 2 sellers usually, agents on each side, a lender, maybe a transaction coordinator. So you're already looking at 8, 9 people that they're trying to keep straight and organized with. Preparing initial documents for attorney's review, there's a lot that goes into being a real estate paralegal, so they handle a lot.
Yeah, it's a ton. Like when I first got into real estate and like going through, you know, what we were talking about, like kind of growing up in this like digital age, you know, coding on MySpace and things like that and stuff. Like I thought that like, you know, hey, like this is going to be like completely digital. And my first office I joined up at, like it was all just like paperwork, like printing out. Like in 2017 is when I got my real estate license. So, you know, right around the same time you open up your shop. And I was just like, what do you mean? Like, we're like hand signing contracts. Like, can't we like do this like a little bit different and like a little bit better? Right. And I think that's what like really attracted me to you guys is I kind of popped off in a couple different like Facebook groups and you're like, no, we have like a complete, like seamless, you know, end to end, you know, system. And I was like, that's where I want to be.
Yeah, I love that. You know, I always try to find ways to infuse customer service into the practice of law. And I don't think a lot of attorneys think of it like that, right? No. They think like I'm a lawyer, I give legal services, that's where my focus is. And no shame in that. That's what we're taught in law school, right? They're not really teaching us, here's this great customer service aspect to think of as you're practicing law. But I couldn't help when I saw neighboring states that function a lot with title companies. Yeah. Which of those title companies are so successful and why? Yeah. And they think of it so differently than I was ever trained before as an attorney. And it's just very client-centric. How do you give that extra layer of customer service? And I really just got immersed in that thinking of like, wow, there's a whole other side of this that I never thought of before. And I don't think a lot of my competitors are thinking of. How can we use that and how can we elevate that? And, you know, utilizing technology in a lot of some of those ways where, you know, you can e-sign documents if it's possible, or we can communicate in one place, and just little things like that really can add up and make a difference. Yeah,
it definitely does. And like I would say like my first, you know, handful of years in real estate, like my first couple closings, like the attorney just kind of just sat down and was just like, just sign here. I was like,
do they really do that?
Some of them do.
Really? Yeah, it's so weird because I never get to sit at other closing tables, so I don't know what other attorneys do. So I always wonder.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, like this person's buying like their first house here. Like they have no idea like these documents that they're signing. And I remember when we switched over to you guys, like just going through all the numbers and like going through. It seems like your staff is like very much, you know, trained on a good bedside manner is like the term we take from like the, you know, doctor world, right? Thank you.
Yeah, I try to train all of my attorneys that there are certain documents in that packet that are critically important that you need to go over, right? Closing disclosure being one of them, the note, the mortgage, right? First payment, things like that. They're really critical in how that loan functions. And after that, it's really kind of reading the room, right? You can kind of tell if you have a first-time home buyer and they're really engaged in what you're saying, they're probably going to still want that level of information on all the documents to follow. But maybe if you're working with an investor and they've done this a bunch of times before and you've read to them the big terms and then they're like, okay, they've been there before, they don't really need all of that extra information, but you definitely have to be able to read the room.
100%. Yeah, that is crucial. That is crucial there. So like how much of your time, and I feel like we're kind of in like similar positions here a little bit, like one of my big things is trying to like pull myself out of like the day to day.
So hard.
Yeah. And then like work on the business instead of like in the business. Like what was that like transition like for you?
I feel like it's still a transition some days. It's so hard. It's so difficult, especially when you become the face of the brand, right? You know, when your name's on the door, people are used to the customer service level that you provide or connections that they've made with you. To translate that and put somebody else in your shoes is difficult. Yes. And it takes time and it's hard, right? It's hard to kind of give control to somebody else or to let somebody else do tasks that maybe you could do better, or there's a lot that goes into it. I'm definitely working on the business and not in the business more than I ever have prior. I'm probably 60%, I would say, on the business, 40% in, which I think is a good balance for me right now. I think it's still important to work in so you know what you need to work on, right? So I think that balance is still really key. But yeah, this is probably the first year I've really had this ability to really work on it at the level that I am. But it's hard when you have this many offices. You know, there's got to be somebody coordinating it all, helping it all.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And like my name is all over like Newcastle County. Like I think we have like, 10, 15 signs out at a time. And it's like my personal cell phone's out there. So like I get phone calls.
Be a lot of calls.
Yeah. I get phone calls and like texts all day long, which is just like crazy and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And like your name is all across the state, now into multiple states. Yeah. So how is that like office expansion been?
Yeah, into another state.
Well, just like in general. So
Yeah.
where'd you start out at? Middletown? Middletown seems like home base.
So actually, Middletown was the first office that I opened up. I'm from Middletown. I've been in Middletown a long time. I practiced in Middletown before, so it just kind of seemed like a natural option to kind of open up my practice there. But very similar in time, I opened up my Rehoboth location. And it was because I had the opportunity to be a preferred attorney for one of the brokerages down at the beach, and I was still doing a lot of business there, and at one point in time had an office inside of their location.
Nice.
And so when I first went out on my own, I was driving to Rehoboth like every day almost, because I got so much business out of that particular brokerage. And unfortunately, that building had an electrical fire. So very
I've heard
early
this story
on,
before. Yeah,
so
tell
very
the story,
early on
yeah.
in my career, I'm operating in one office, like literally one office space inside of a big office suite. Inside of that office is myself and two other people. I'm just starting out. I'm only a few months in, and we were lucky enough to kind of like have low rent in this small little space, and there's files and whatnot everywhere, and we were working really hard to open up the Middletown location. It was getting fitted out, but there was an electrical fire. So I remember being out at Olive Garden, like with my husband and my son and his grandparents for some occasion, and I get a phone call from my sister who worked for me at the time, and she lived down in the Rehoboth area, and she was like, "Erica, the building's on fire." And I'm like, what do you mean the building's on fire? Which building? I'm thinking it's like a client, right? Like somebody's house is on fire. She's like, no, like the office building is on fire. And I'm like, what do you mean it's on fire? She's like, I don't know. Like I drove by, I saw fire trucks. Like I just pulled in. My sister just pulled in, like talk about loyal employee. And here there was an electrical fire in the back of the building. Our office was in the front of the building. So our physical space wasn't damaged at all by the actual fire, but she's like begging with the firemen, like, please let me in there. I've got deeds that like need to go out to the recorder's office.
Yeah.
We've got like important client information. Like I need to get in there. And we can't let you in. And she's literally like negotiating with the fire company. They finally let her in. She gathers every file she can. She goes in for our server, which it was the first server I ever bought. It was like $12,000. And to me, it was like the biggest.
It's your baby.
Oh, it was the most money I've ever spent on anything at that time associated with my business. We had just bought it. She's like grabbing everything that she could. She grabbed and she threw into the back of her, little Focus, little Ford Focus. And so she's just driving it up to Middletown the next morning. We had to find some place to hang our hats until the Middletown office was open. Her entire car reeked of smoke, of like fire smoke from all the fires. It was crazy. But she got everything out. We were able to find another location to kind of hang our hats for a little bit until the Middletown office was opened. And then very quickly after, we opened up a Rehoboth office, just again to kind of service those clients that we couldn't anymore.
Nice.
In the fire burnt building.
That's just like wild. And that's just like hey, welcome to business, 101. They didn't teach us that.
Nope, that was
Delaware,
not brought up at UD or at law school. Yeah,
No.
They failed to mention that one.
Wasn't in any of our minors, was it?
Yeah.
No. How to deal with a building
No,
fire.
it wasn't. And it's one of those moments you'll never forget. Like you're sitting there at dinner, you're like, what? What are you talking about? But yeah, that was definitely a think on your feet moment. We had closings the next day, and having to call agents. I'm so sorry, our office had a fire. Like, let's meet this place to have their closing. It's a think on your feet moment.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So with that, how many locations are we up to now?
We are up to 5 locations currently. We are in Pike Creek. We call it the Wilmington office, but it's definitely kind of a Pike Creek area. Middletown, Dover, Rehoboth Beach, and then our latest office is Chesapeake City, Maryland.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite?
No.
All of them? Yeah. And with that, so like what does like I have like an idea of it, but like in general, like how many people are a part of this like wolf pack? Yeah.
So we are at 25 currently. We do have a couple seats in the process of being filled, so we should be at about 26, 27 here, hopefully by the end of the month. But yeah, that's That's where we're at right
Gotcha.
now.
How many of those are attorneys? Like,
So
what's your
there's six
breakdown?
attorneys. We're hoping for 7 attorneys here very shortly. Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's exciting. So, like, when you were like kind of just like growing, like how's it just grow by like file size? Like, when do you decide to like, hey, I'm going to take on, you know, this other line of work and like do
Yeah.
like attorneys, they seem like they specialize, like you have to like specialize, like that's how it is in like residential, like people sell houses in like, you know, one area sort of deal.
And the funny thing is, so we kind of do, but we're not allowed to say that we do. Isn't that weird? It's like a bar rule. Like, I'm not allowed to say I specialize in a particular area of law. When you pass the bar, you have to take every topic available, and you have to pass it for all of it. But yeah, we definitely find our little niches,
Your areas of practice.
absolutely,
Yeah.
that we feel more comfortable practicing in, and kind of, you know, practice it more often. I wanted to, a couple years ago, really diversify the practice. So, you know, I practice in real estate law. That's my niche. That's what I really like to practice in. But we wanted to make sure that we're offering other areas and really kind of growing that out, because, you know, the real estate market is cynical, right? It goes up, it goes down, it goes up and goes down. And a lot of other legal services are really great to offer in conjunction with real estate. So that's when I brought on Adam Gerber as a partner.
Yep.
He had a lot of experience in estate planning and in probate and in guardianship, and really kind of put him in charge of really growing out that department, which has been really great to see the growth of that department over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So he's doing
We
a lot
appreciate
there.
it. The Garmins appreciate
Yeah,
it. So
absolutely.
we're clients
Yeah.
of, you know, got a medical directive.
They're important things to need.
Very important things to need. Yeah. It's funny. My brother owns a funeral home. And so my mom's been like looking for like some sort of like slogan. So, you know, every morning she, you know, prays for houses for me, and not for people to die, but if they do die, that they go to my brother. And so like when we told my brother that, you know, hey, this is what we were getting done, he was like, that's great. I was like, by the way, like you're the guy. Like if anything goes wrong, and he's like, okay, thank you for that as well too. I was like, I figure, you know, you're you know what you're
enough.
doing, right? Yeah, you know what you're doing. So
Got a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah. But that was just like a wild process to go through, and I'm glad that we did, because like we sat down with Adam and like did that whole thing, and like I just felt a lot better. Like,
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, because we were getting ready to get on a plane, and Mary Kate was like, God forbid the plane goes down. I'm like,
Right.
oh my God.
Well, and I think having kids, right, put a different perspective on it.
Huge.
Right? When, you know, you have a responsibility to somebody else to make sure they're taken care of, then it's kind of like, I think I need to do this now.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have a hard time talking about it or wanting to sign them. You know, it's a hard conversation for a lot of people to have.
Definitely, it's definitely. And I think like just with like my background, like my mom grew up in the funeral home industry. Like I've been around funeral homes my whole entire life, and like, you know, on that end of the spectrum, like I'm like, this is a part of life. Like I want to be prepared, and also like selfishly, like I don't want to work all like so hard, acquire like all these assets and everything and stuff like that, and just have my kids sell them off. So I'm like, no, you're not selling these things off.
And that's not selfish at all. I mean, that's literally what I think is building a legacy, right? And I think building a legacy doesn't just stop during your lifetime, right? That's the whole point of it, being able to carry on in a way that you want to influence after you've passed. So
Correct.
Yeah, I'm glad you and Mary Kate took the time to do that, because
I
it's
love
important.
that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What would you say like your like passion is like right now in your business? Do you still have a passion? Do you still have that like day one fire? Like,
Oh, I definitely do. I'm very competitive. Sometimes
that.
it's not always a healthy obsession. But yeah, no, I want Wolfe & Associates to be a household name in the state of Delaware for legal services. You know, I want us to influence and touch so many families that when people are thinking of a lawyer that they can trust, that services the everyday person, that they're automatically thinking of us, that we're becoming, you know, just kind of synopsis in that way of thinking. So I think we've done a really great job in the time that we've been open. But yeah, there's definitely a lot more families to touch and a lot more places to grow to.
Definitely. Yeah. So like what's on the horizon for like the next 8 years? You've been doing this
8 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
17,
Very
24.
specific.
We're like halfway through.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Oh, geez. Goodness, great. Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, like how I'm going to execute that plan in the next 8
Sure.
years.
Yeah. Open-ended. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're kind of a bit in the slow grind right now. I mean, I definitely have other areas of Delaware that I have my eye on or interested potentially expanding there. I'm a little slow to do that right now, just because I'm just so uncertain about how e-closings are going to take off if they ever do. So just kind of curious about, if it's a good time to open up another brick and mortar. But if so, North Wilmington's a great spot. Down in Bethany's a good spot. Kind of have my eye on the Milford Milton area that seems to have a lot of new construction to it right now. But yeah, we're just, being able to grow and touch more families.
Love that. Love that. That's awesome. That's awesome. So like with that, like there is like a lot of, competition in this. Like Delaware is just like a super small state. Like how do you, and we touched on it a little bit with that like customer service, but like what do you think like the difference is in like Wolfe and Associates? Because it is like different. Like I read a book earlier this year, and it's like people, they only go through this real estate transaction like, one time. Like I can't go back in February and like redo my listing presentation, and like, like people can only go through this like one time. Like what do you think like makes you guys stand out? Like what's your, differentiating factor here at Wolfe and Associates?
Yeah, I think for us, we put a lot of time and energy in making sure that our referral partners have the resources that they need to be successful, because a lot of times you guys are relied on heavily for kind of a referral when someone's purchasing a home. But then making sure that we can match that, right? Because if, I'm one of the attorneys that you recommend to your buyers and they end up using us and they have a horrible experience, right? That's a poor reflection on you, right? So that's, always something that we want to make sure that we are giving the best experience possible that we can for our clients. And a lot of that is just trying to have as much proactive communication as possible, trying to have as many tech tools as you possibly can in the real estate world, right? Or as an attorney to a client, just because it's the day and age that we're in. And then I think really providing an environment where clients feel comfortable. A lot of times people feel really nervous going to an attorney, right? It's kind of a scary thing for them.
Nervous.
And I never want it to be an intimidating experience, right? It's be a place where they're comfortable, where it's an attorney who is friendly, who's approachable, who's personal, who's there just to provide you information so you can make the best informed decision. Just kind of cultivating that all the way through.
I love that. I love that. Anything that you wish you did differently? Not necessarily like regrets, but like, what do you wish that now in 2024 that you didn't know in 2017?
Yeah. There's a lot. I don't, think I would take anything back or do anything differently, right? Because it's part of the learning process.
Yep.
You don't grow if you don't learn, and sometimes you've got to, make those mistakes or make those fumbles in order to learn them. But, I think one area that was probably not my strongest in terms of running a business was, managing employees. And I think I've gotten better over time, and it's definitely something I keep in my forefront of my mind. But just, having a large amount of staff, I think I had up to 33 at one point, is a lot of people to manage.
Correct.
And, people perceive information differently than you do, right? Or, they want different things than you might think that they want. I think for the longest time, I thought everybody was maybe just motivated by money, right? Like just if you make more money, right? Well, motivated by money, like that's, right? Who's not motivated by money, right? And no one's going to turn away money. But with that being said, that's not always the type of appreciation that your staff's looking for. Sometimes it's with public recognition, or sometimes it's with more time off, or more flexibility, or, greater challenges. And I wish I would have taken the time to really get to know that about each of my staff members to be able to cultivate them into better leaders. And that's something I learned a little bit later on in my practice.
Yeah, definitely. I go through like similar stuff as well too, because like these guys are all like 1099 versus having like a W-2 employee.
Yeah.
And like I had a couple like W-2 employees, and I was like, you're not a like you don't have like the mindset to like be here sort of deal. Yeah. And it's tough to like get through to somebody on that aspect. So I couldn't imagine, managing 20 plus, people. Yeah. So. And
I have some people who are very motivated, by file number, and I have some that just aren't. And taking the time to figure out, do I have them on, are they in the right seat, right? I'm sure you heard the bus analogy, and it's something I go back to all the time, right? Like making sure the right people are on the bus and the wrong people are off the bus. And if the right people are on the bus, are they in the right seat, right? And your job as the leader is to, get to know them and make sure that they really are in the right seat. So yeah, I wish I would have probably kicked some people off the bus earlier and moved some people around earlier, but
yeah. Same here.
It's hard.
I wish I would have gotten, maybe some more people on the bus earlier. But yeah, like Patrick's been fantastic. So, Pat, what were you doing in 2020? Were you still in like high school, college? What were you doing?
There you go.
Yeah, I wish I had Pat following me around from the start of the career.
I still need a Pat to follow me around.
Yeah, he's available for hire. Yeah, he's available. So yeah, we'll get that rocking. So like the only thing I've heard, I have a couple friends who are attorneys and stuff like that. Like the amount of like reading.
It's a lot.
Do you read for pleasure?
No. I'm so sick of it. By the time I
Yeah.
leave work, I don't want to read for pleasure. I do like books, but I'm more of a, between two kids and being an attorney and running business, I'm more of a listener right now. Like
Gotcha.
a lot of audible listening.
Okay, yeah. What are we listening to on Audible? What should we be listening to? Going back into it, so we were talking, ton of reading going through law school and all that jazz. We're more of an Audible person.
I am. I'm more of an audible person.
You got to be in the car a ton.
And not so much anymore
No.
compared to what I used to be. I was going through a lot more books before, but a little bit. But yeah, I think it's probably a little boring. I'm really into a lot of the self-help, business development, a lot of the nonfiction. So.
Let's hear it. What do we got? Yeah.
Well,
Any book
I'm
recommendations?
re-listening to E-Myth again, which
Okay.
is amazing. If you are a business owner and you haven't listened to E-Myth yet, read E-Myth, you need to.
We're going to do it as soon as we finish this.
Yeah, that's a great one. Good to Great is another great
Okay.
business development book. Definitely two of my favorites I go back to a lot.
Love that. Yeah, I'm a huge time book reader. I got to get more so back into like the Audible thing. I've listened to a few books on that, but yeah, I'm very visual.
There you
so
go.
I gotta see it with the vision. Yeah.
I love that, but I also have a rising third grader who doesn't love to read, so sitting with him a lot to push him to read. So a lot of Magic Treehouse we've been reading, stuff like that.
Okay, I'm looking forward to those days. Yeah, we're doing a lot of Lion King right now.
There you go. That's good.
Yeah. My daughter, she's totally a bookworm, and I think my
I
son's
love that.
interested as well too. My son, we're just pointing at Elmo right now.
I love
So
that.
yeah, so
I love that.
yeah, those days are great. Yeah, they're difficult while you're in it, as I'm sure you know.
Oh yeah, there's definitely difficult moments. Yeah. And my son is amazing. He just, he's not the sit still type. So to be able to sit still for a long period of time and read a book is something that he really has to put a lot of effort into doing. So obviously it's not the most fun thing in the world for him.
All good.
But just trying to encourage that love for reading and sitting there with him. So yeah.
Yeah. Any advice? This is for me personally. Yeah. Any advice? Running a business with children. I'm in the heat of it right now.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. It's probably my biggest challenge, and it's a challenge every single day. It's a balancing act, it's a juggling act, and just that's I feel like where my mind is every day is how do I make sure that I'm showing up for my kids in all of the ways that they need me, and that all of their cups are filled while still balancing the responsibilities that I have at work. And I think a lot of times I just cut myself out of the equation. I think that's where it suffers, right? Not taking enough time out for myself because I just don't have the time. And I get why that's not the best way to think about it, right? You got to take care of yourself so you can take care of other people. So I'm probably not the best person to ask.
What does like a typical day look like for Erica?
Oh my goodness, a typical day.
Is there a typical day?
Yeah, I would say my day definitely has a lot of routine in it. I thrive off of routines and balancing and to-do lists. But yeah, no, I'm usually, up by 6 o'clock, trying to get myself ready because my kids are going to be up at 6:30 and trying to help them get out the door.
Sleep till 6:30?
Yours don't sleep till 6:30?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, they're up in the 4s and 5s. Yeah.
Holy moly!
It's tough. It's tough these days.
Yeah, no, 6:30. And my kids have always been like. My daughter, especially, she's 3. Like, she just is a mommy's girl through and through. Like, I have to do everything for her. Like, she just wants me to do everything. But it's just, helping them get out the door, making sure lunches are packed and book bags are ready to go. My husband will usually take my son to school or camp. Lately, I've been taking my daughter to daycare. And as soon as I go there, I'm right into the office. And
What time do you get to the office?
usually about 9 o'clock.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And how late are you there? I'm just curious.
These days, it's 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the way that I've been able to kind of make my work day very much a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it wasn't always that way. There was definitely a lot of midnights and things earlier on in my career trying to build it and get it to where it is. But it's definitely now a a machine that runs and, needs to be tweaked or looked at and kept running, but doesn't need as much building as it used to. So
I love that.
Yeah, definitely like a 9 to 5.
Yeah, you definitely, like, the Wolfpack seems like a well-oiled machine. You got to be if you have all those locations and stuff.
You have to. But you have to put a lot of effort into making sure all the parts are well-oiled.
Correct.
Right? Because, if I have one great team player on my team not at capacity for whatever reason or not happy for whatever reason, right, the whole thing can kind of tank. So just a lot of oiling of the machine.
I love that. I love that. All right, cool. So last couple personal questions, and then we'll finish it up with some Delaware favorites in here. What do you do on your hard days to keep yourself sane? Do you have hard days?
Oh, yes. Of course I have hard days. Yeah, to keep myself sane on the hard days is usually when I know I probably need some time for myself, right? That's probably when I need to call my parents to watch the kids and, go out to eat or to go spend time with friends or do something fun for myself.
Where do we go out to eat? Olive Garden?
Not usually. I'm more of like a taco margarita girl.
Nice.
So, and there is an LS Teca around the corner from my house. So, that's just kind of quick way to solve that problem right now. But yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Open-ended question here. Who inspires you?
My dad. Yeah, my dad.
Pops?
He's awesome. And I think, so my dad never went to college, has no, education beyond high school, worked in a factory my entire life. But my dad just has this quality about him where he just has a lot of, I'm trying to phrase it in the right way. He has just so much reflectivism of like who he is. He's just so self-aware about his strengths, about his weaknesses.
Yeah.
And he just never gives up trying to be a better person. Like if he makes a mistake, he owns it. If there's an opportunity for growth, he just owns it and just always comes back trying to be a better person. And it's just so admiring to watch, especially as I'm older and you're like, oh, I wish I would have done this different or I messed up. And he's like, yeah, mistakes are a part of life. Like, let's grow from them. It's just always been his mindset, and it's just so cool to watch.
I love that. Yeah, that having kids has definitely made me appreciate my dad more.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. Like that dude, he's just got a motor. He can just go for days.
Yeah.
He's a shift worker, so
that's my dad too. Yeah.
He'll
Hard
get
workers.
off. Yeah, he'll get off and like maybe get an hour of sleep or two, and then like he's back up and he's watching my kids. I'm like,
that's
dude,
my dad
thank
too.
you.
Yeah.
Like you're amazing.
Yeah, they really are.
He's amazing. My favorite story about my dad is he did shift work, and I was playing lacrosse and we played Duke, and so he came off his shift work, drove down, like got off his shift work 5 a.m., picked my cousin up, drove down to Durham, North Carolina. Like hung out with my cousin for a little while, watched us play at 7 o'clock, drove back to Pennsylvania. I was just like, what, dude? He's like, yeah, I didn't sleep for like 48 hours. I'm like, you're just built different.
They really are. They really are. My dad's the same way. Even now, my son's, he's only 8, but he's really into sports. And my dad's out there coaching. My dad's at every game. He makes it a point to come over all the time. And yeah, he's just.
That's awesome.
Yeah, amazing.
Shout out Pops.
I know.
Love Pops,
right?
Yeah. All right. Best part about owning your own firm?
Best part, I guess, just the freedom, the ability to call the shots. If I don't like the way something's going, like I have the ability to think about the way I want it to go and make the changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite quotes that I got from you is like, hey, we're not going to do things the way it's always been done.
I hate that, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do it, the best way. And you don't care where that idea comes from.
That's literally, I say that all the time. We say that in our interviews because I want to make sure people coming in understand. Like, I'm not a sit still type of person. If I find a way that we could be doing something better, we're going to change up our processes. So you've got to be somebody who's hungry for greatness because we're going to evolve and change to be like that. And a lot of people don't like that. Like you change something, they get really uneasy. They don't like it. They don't like to work that way. So I always throw it out there. This is the type of person I am. And if you come here and you see something with fresh eyes and it could be done better, like tell me. Like I don't care if that idea comes from you or me or the man in the moon. Like if it's a better way, we're going to think about it. We're going to figure it out.
It's awesome. I love that about you. All right, cool. So finishing up here with a few of the Delaware favorites. So you shouted out your Mexican restaurant. What was it called again?
Oh, LS Teca.
LS
It's like a
Teca.
chain in Delaware, yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
They have good spicy margaritas. Pretty good.
Yeah, so hit a few of the Delaware favorites here. So favorite coffee shop?
Coffee shop.
Are you a coffee girl?
Absolutely.
Have to be as an attorney, right?
2 kids in a business, yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely a lot of coffee.
I've been known to bring Tom Lackey some Dunkin' Donuts from here and there, so yeah.
Well, I'm a little jealous now. I got to get back in the closing room then, I guess. I'm going to give a shout out to a new spot that opened up in Middletown that has just been killing it. It's Corner Grounds Cafe right there in Middletown, Odessa. Yeah, so it's a great little coffee shop.
Gotcha. Yeah, we actually had a client look at that space.
Really?
Prior to Corner Grounds purchasing it.
I did the closing.
Love that. Yeah, and I think Tony.
Yes, Tony Mediato.
Yeah, the chef. Shout out, chef. We love you, chef.
We love Tony.
Yeah, we're big Tony fans around here. So yeah, I think he sold that.
He did.
And it's been on my list to get down there.
It's really cool. We do a coffee and connections. The first, we kind of got your idea.
It's
the
cool.
first Tuesday of every month. Yeah.
Imitation's
really
the highest form of flattery.
It really is. Yeah, we definitely copped it from you.
All good. But yeah, shout out Tony. I'll definitely be making it out to one of those. All right, favorite pizza.
Favorite pizza. All right, don't be mad at me if I say I'm not a Grotto's lover of pizza.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
I guess DiNapoli. It's in Middletown.
All right. Yeah. See, I don't go south of the canal.
I know.
Like I barely make it out of our
Well, what do you like around here? What's good pizza up here?
Rocco's Union Street. That's my
Okay.
spot.
All right.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah. We're also big fans of Nick's Pizza 302, which is near the Wilmington office. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Newport
Good to
Cat
know.
Pike.
Okay.
So that's solid. Yeah.
All right. There we go.
Yeah. Good there. All right. Last couple here. Favorite bar? The Delaware bar? You passed the Delaware bar?
I did pass the Delaware bar. First time. Bar. I'm trying to think the last time I went to a bar.
Right? Yeah. I don't go to bars anymore.
I don't either.
No.
And I don't even know if you can classify it as a bar, and it's definitely not in Delaware, but I think the most bar-ish place I frequent is probably Chesapeake Inn.
Love Chesapeake Inn.
We love Chesapeake Inn. Yeah. We have a lot of fun.
Where is your office in Chesapeake? Like, is it right
around
there?
the corner from the Chesapeake Inn?
Nice.
Yeah, right around the corner. It's right there, on 213.
I don't make it down there enough, and every time I'm down there, I'm just I'm so happy down here.
I know, it's a great
spot.
Yeah, just be able to it's really fun.
It's beautiful. Love that spot. All right, last one here for you. Delaware bucket list item. Do you have any Delaware bucket list items? Anything that you haven't done in Delaware? For me, I really want to go to the state fair this week. But
you've never gone to the state fair?
No, never gone to the state fair. Yeah, Mary Kate said no. Yeah.
What?
No, never been.
Oh my goodness. My family. So when I was younger, story time, when I was younger, my grandparents would take us to the state fair every single year, and they would get a hotel nearby, and we would spend the night and do 2 days there. And so growing up, I thought the Delaware State Fair was the coolest thing in the world, and that it was super far away.
Yeah.
Because I remember being 5, 6, and going on a road trip and spending the night and coming back the next day. Yeah. So and now we go back, I'm it's 40 minutes from my house. It's not a big deal. I don't know why I thought it was this big ordeal, but we love the Delaware State Fair. So we've done that. We've done that a lot. I'm trying to think of Delaware things that I haven't done.
What's your favorite Delaware thing you have done? When you're doing it, you're I'm just so Delaware right now.
Oh my goodness. It's so hard.
Main Street to go to Grotto's at UD. That's a huge Delaware thing.
Oh yeah, I've done that. I mean, it's been a long time since I've done those things, but I've done that a lot. Or
Starboard, yeah.
Yeah, Starboard.
Yeah, we just do Delaware things. Yeah, we just hang out in Delaware. It's not a bad place to be.
No, it's not. It's a great place to be. It's a great place to be. I guess I've never done the polar bear plunge, but I don't know if I necessarily want to.
No?
No. Jumping in cold water.
You definitely feel very accomplished after you jump in.
Have you done it?
Not in Delaware.
Okay.
I've done it in Jersey, though.
Okay.
Just bought a place down in Sea Isle City, New Jersey. So my dad's actually made a point to every time he goes down, he's going to hop in the water. So
wow.
And he's done it so far. So, yeah. proud of him.
That's pretty cool.
For doing that.
Well, your dad has a lot of discipline, so I'm not as far as
a ton. I need to get some more discipline in my life.
I know.
Yeah. I definitely could use some. Well, Erica, that was fantastic. We appreciate you coming in. Anything else you want to tell the people?
No, just thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Love it. Well, shout out. That was Miss Erica Wolfe, Life on the Ave. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Thank you very much. Look forward to the next time. Love y'all.